Changing Lanes, the official podcast of BMW.
Welcome to this episode of Changing Lanes, the official podcast of BMW. My name is Sarah.
And my name is Jonathan.
And today in the podcast, we are dishing out some fun and interesting electric car facts from around the world.
Yes. So, for example, do you know where in the world you can find the highest number of public charging stations per capita?
Or how many electric vehicles are sold in a single month in China?
Or in which way Norway is an e-mobility leader?
And where most of the world's lithium comes from?
I mean, after all, e-mobility has come a really long way in a very short amount of time. Going electric is now a realistic and an attractive option for lots of people looking to buy a new car.
Exactly, Jonathan, which is why we're answering these questions to give you the inside scoop and all the fun facts about e-mobility from around the world. It's pretty eye-opening stuff, I have to tell you. So why don't we take a trip around the world and learn more about electric cars?
Awesome. All right, let's start off with China. I mean, after all, it's not only the world's largest automobile market, it is also the world's largest electric car market, with more than 1.2 million units sold in 2019.
That's a lot of units, Jonathan.
Totally. So did you know that more than 3.4 million battery electric vehicles, or BEVs, can be found on Chinese roads?
I did not know that.
Right? It's crazy. So that is more than 45% of all BEVs worldwide, and that number is growing rapidly. And in June 2020 alone, more than 88,000 brand new BEVs hit the roads of the Chinese mainland.
Oh my goodness, China is indeed a force to be reckoned with, and definitely in the area of electric mobility.
Totally.
And you know, Jonathan, this impressive growth is in part spurred by Chinese policy ambitions. You know, they're actively pushing for greener energy solutions to all the environmental challenges that are caused by growing urbanization. And this has paved the way for an overall goal by Chinese authorities to have BEVs take up a 30% market share by the year 2030.
Whoa, that is massive.
So China is definitely the world's largest electric car market, and it'll probably stay that way for a long time.
Sounds like it. Geez, but what about the ratio of the BEVs on the roads relative to the overall number of cars sold every year? This is called BEV penetration, and Norway, they are taking pole position. So Norway has been a global leader in these statistics for a really long time, and it remains at the top with more than 55% of all new cars on the country's roads being electric vehicles. This is a clear leading position. And, Iceland, who is in second place, only has 22.6%. So that's less than half of Norway.
Yeah, it's super interesting. And, to accommodate this sharp increase in BEVs in Norway, charging infrastructure is also growing really fast. Currently, a bit more than 2,500 charging stations can be found across the country. And this is due to Norway's strong government investment and support of technology early on. Well done, Norway, for thinking ahead.
Yes, congratulations for leading the way toward the future of e-mobility.
Yes. Okay, so another country that is leading the way towards the future of e-mobility is Albania. Now, Albania may still have some way to go before it reaches anywhere near the same penetration rate as Norway, but it does have something that should not be ignored, and that is the best overall conditions for the country to go fully electric in the future. Now, why is that? Well, believe it or not, 100% of Albania's electricity is in fact generated from clean, green hydroelectric power.
Whoa, that's awesome.
It's cool, huh?
Amazing. So Albania may be not as significant in absolute and even relative terms when it comes to BEVs, but it does have everything in place to provide a future fleet of BEVs with green energy. And that also includes the best preconditions for an extensive and sustainably powered charging grid. So really, at the end of the day, this could lead to Albania seeing its entire road-ready fleet go electric in the years to come without jeopardizing the environment?
At least in theory.
Mm,
So keep an eye out for Albania in the near future. It could be the world's greenest BEV market in just a few years.
that's amazing. And when it does come to e-mobility, the issue of public charging stations always comes up,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Yeah, it does.
Where can you charge your car? Where's the next
Mm-hmm.
station? It's a
Mm-hmm.
constant thing in the back of your mind.
Mm-hmm.
But in the Netherlands, it's quite literally leading the charge with more than 37,000 public charging stations, or one station per 459 inhabitants. As of February 2020, the Netherlands is setting an excellent example.
That's a lot of charging stations for sure. But we're quite proud that coming in second place is Germany with a bit more than 27,000. And that's followed by France, which has around 24,000, and the UK just shy of 20,000. So the total number of public charging stations spread across the European Union, at least as of spring 2020, is more than, get this, 170,000.
Wow.
And that number is steadily growing, Jonathan, as more and more governments and private actors invest in charging infrastructure across the European roadmap.
Excellent news. So, congratulations, Netherlands, for being the world leader in public charging stations.
And also a leader of the pack when it comes to giving BEVs priority is the United Kingdom. Now, they may not top the rankings when it comes to BEV sales or public charging stations, but a proposal to introduce priority lanes for BEVs does warrant a closer look at how the UK thinks about electromobility. The proposal introduced the idea that BEVs should be given priority lanes like the ones that you see for buses.
Ah.
And even given priority at traffic lights in order to push the development of these so-called green city zones in a handful of major UK cities.
Nice. Well, this proposal has yet to materialize into actual traffic legislation and would have to be voted through by the individual city councils, but there is hope. I mean, the idea itself, it's worth a special mention in this compilation and thus a place on our electric world map.
Definitely, and fingers crossed that the proposal does go through.
Yes, most definitely. Well, one country that is charging forward is Australia, which is the world's largest lithium producer.
Oh, Jonathan, another pun.
Oh,
But okay, okay.
I know.
All right, maybe it was one of your better ones.
I tried to slip it in there, just really subtle.
Okay. Oh, great.
Well, the most common battery types used for electric vehicles are lithium-ion and lithium polymer batteries.
Okay, and tell us why is that again?
Exactly, because we hear lithium-ion and lithium polymer batteries, but what does that mean? So this is because of lithium's high energy density and storage qualities, which is compared to its relatively small weight. And Australia is where a lot of the lithium comes from. So with an annual output of more than 40,000 metric tons of lithium, Australia occupies the top spot of all lithium-producing countries worldwide.
Interesting.
Right? And then Chile comes in second place at 18,000 metric tons, thanks to its massive reserves deep in the Atacama deserts in the north. And the runners-up are China, Argentina, and Zimbabwe, making sure that the overall global output of quote-unquote white gold reaches almost 90,000 metric tons every year. Now, that is a number that is set to grow exponentially over the next decades.
Wow, that is some electrifying information there, Jonathan.
Was that a pun?
I don't know. Not very good one.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good.
All right. Well, on to more of a serious note. Jonathan, did you know that Germany is one of the countries with the most ambitious policy roadmaps for electromobility?
Well, I mean, Germany can be serious, and I wouldn't want it any other way when it comes to e-mobility, of course. So it does sound like they are leading the way in that direction.
They are. So, according to the Federal Ministry of Economic Affairs and Energy, an ambitious strategy for the growing electromobility sector is paramount in the fight against climate change. And this strategy includes a number of goals and benchmarks and, above all, heavy investments. 210 million euros have been earmarked for research and development alone.
Whoa. Wowzers. And are there any specific goals in place for that?
Well, yeah, the expectation is that more than 1 million BEVs will be found on German roads by the end of this year, so by the end of 2020.
Wow.
And in total, 2.2 billion euros have been invested in electric mobility research and development since 2009 with the backing of 4 different ministries. So this means that for drivers, financial incentives have been introduced to boost BEV sales to the tune of, get this, Jonathan, 600 million euros.
Ka-ching.
And on top of this, another 300 million euros was invested in the expansion of charging point infrastructure, and another 100 million euros was invested by the federal government in its own vehicle fleet so that BEVs make up 20% of total fleet vehicles.
Whoa, that does sound ambitious and serious in a very good way.
Definitely.
Go Germany.
Go Germany, yeah.
And, speaking of Germany, taking a step closer to the Bavarian heartland of BMW, we will also find a handful of interesting figures that point to the future of mobility. Now, BMW has long had its very own e-mobility roadmap in place, the Future Highway 2025 program, as an overarching strategy laid out to guide BMW's endeavors towards an electric future. Future Highway 2025, among other things, it predicts sales of electric vehicles to climb more than 30% per year up until 2025 and more than double between 2019 and 2021.
Very impressive. And to accommodate the steep curve, Future Highway 2025 sets a goal of making a full 25 electric BMWs available to customers by the year 2025, spanning all vehicle classes. Wow. But this may already now need to be readjusted as, current predictions show that BMW will, in fact, reach that target 2 years ahead of schedule, so by 2023. So, it seems that the future may not be too far away after all.
Nice. And that does really sound reassuring. I mean, with all of these countries doing their part to help e-mobility become the future of driving pleasure, I, for one, have a good feeling that it's not only going to help the environment tremendously, but, it's also going to be something that drivers like you and me, that we can really enjoy.
Yes, for sure. And, we did a previous podcast episode all about e-mobility. So if you missed it, do go back and give episode number 14 a listen to learn all about the different kinds of electric vehicles that are out there. Feel free to check it out to learn even more about the e-car and how this technology is rapidly evolving. And everyone, that brings us to the end of this week's episode of Changing Lanes.
And if you enjoyed this episode, please make sure you subscribe to our podcast for future episodes.
And to dive deeper into all things BMW, do head on over to bmw.com to learn more.
I'm Jonathan.
And my name is Sarah.
And this has been Changing Lanes.
Thanks for listening.